Are you misunderstood? Do you find yourself in relationships, romantic, casual, that anytime you start to move forward into it, time goes on, you start to feel this feeling that they're not understanding who you are. They're not really getting to know you. And the gap begins to separate. You feel you're understanding them, but you don't feel it's being reciprocated, and then it eventually falls apart. But I bet you this isn't even just in relationships. I bet this trails into career, into business, and as someone who's a coach for self-sabotage, people who actually trip over themselves. They're their own worst enemy, and often they don't even know it. I have seen this exact pattern so many times, it's unbelievable. And when I reveal it to you, it's going to give you some massive clarity. We're going to start with what is happening. We're going to discuss the pattern. Why is this happening to you? And then number 3, how can you change it? So it starts with you meeting somebody. You say, hi, how you doing? You get to know them a little bit. And then after a couple weeks, you actually start to like them. You guys get along. Maybe there's a lot of emotional feelings associated. You're falling in love with them. Maybe you're starting to like them a lot. It could be a casual friendship that you're feeling you guys are really resonating at a deep level. And then it moves on into a state of bliss. You feel happy, excited, looking forward to the future. But then all of a sudden it transitions into something feeling off. You can't really put a pin on it. And every single time I've had these conversations with my clients, it's always the same exact thing. They can't put a pin exactly on what it is. It just generally is not, it's not the same mood anymore. And then naturally, right after that, it ends off with the it's not you, it's me, or whatever version that you use. And then ends up with a broken heart, sadness, and feeling like you're just destined to either be alone or just to be involved in these relationships that always end in misery. This, however, can be framed in 2 ways. The first way is from a superior place. You are feeling that this person is, if we're being absolutely blunt and honest, admitting our shadow, inferior to us. We are smarter than them. We are more successful. We are funnier. There is something that is giving you this altitude that you look over and you say, you know what, they're not really on my level. And so eventually, because maybe perhaps we can't admit to this part of ourselves, we put some other veil. We cover it up with some other reason. They're not understanding who you are. They're not considerate of your emotions. But it can also be from an inferior place. You're thinking you are less than in the relationship. They are better than you. Or why would someone who makes this much money want to hang out with me? Or why would someone who has 100 friends want to be my friend? It doesn't make any sense. Regardless of which angle, regardless of which state of mind, they are all fundamentally a state of low self-worth. Now, I know for some of you watching, perhaps that absolutely hit the rough spot within you, but it is extremely important that we can actually look inward at that part of ourselves and be brutally honest and say, if that has happened, it has happened to me. I've done the exact same thing, but I've also done the exact same thing with feeling inferior to those around me. And like I said in the beginning, this trails into career and business. How often do you find yourself in a career path? Same thing, it starts off good, you feel excited, maybe the money's nice, the position has a nice ring to it. But then not too long after that, you're being called to do something different, you're not feeling right about it, and then you exit and you move on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. Same exact with business. So what is it that's actually going on then? Because we can't assume that you're cursed, because you're not, or that you're broken, which again, you're not, but there is a pattern going on. The story of your life. This is something really important we have to really try to understand and sit with for a little while for it to actually begin to make more sense. We all live through a story. Some of us are conscious of the story, but some are not aware of the story. And what do I mean by story? Well, first it's going to begin with your past, your childhood, typically between the ages of 4 and maybe 17, 18 years old, when you're most susceptible to values and ideas and behavioral dynamics between your mother, your father, your siblings, your friends, everybody. You are the most impressionable. That is where everything is starting to crystallize and form. And the past, what does it contain? Well, it contains trauma, contains dynamics with your family, your friends, your community. And if they all revolve around one particular thing, in some shape, in some form, you have probably experienced chaos, instability, constant changes. Perhaps one day you'll have a friend that the next day they vanish. Maybe that's happened routinely. Or maybe you've moved a lot from city to city, town to town. Regardless, there has been constant shifting, constant changing that has left you in this state of anxiousness, stress, fear of what is to come. Eventually, when you can't carry that consciously, you'll bury it within you, and now your body is just reacting. Even if years go by, you still feel very similar physical reactions if certain patterns are beginning to show up in your current life. What that means is from your past, it'll move you forward into pain. Tony Robbins actually says it very well. People are either motivated by pain or pleasure, more so through avoiding pain. And that is absolutely true. If there was a pain that happened to you either once, which is like an extreme form of trauma, or moderate, mild trauma that was more consistently done throughout. You can have a beautiful childhood, by the way. It doesn't even matter. It's just if it's dripped here and there over time, what does that do? It teaches you a lesson because you have to adapt, especially if you're very young. It'll give you ideas of the world, ideas about yourself, which then over time will shape a view. And all of this will culminate into rules and values that you set for yourself and that you set for the world, for the outer world, thus creating your story. If I give you a real world example, I'm going to upload the video this week, so stay tuned to not miss that. I had a free guidance session with a man named Nick, and he had an upbringing that was chaotic, constant changes, parents who had emotional stability challenges. He always had to move, different friends, different relationships. All these things over time created a narrative that gave him this impression that the world was orchestrating some sort of game against him so that he fails, so that he can be alone. That's what at least it gave him as he was getting older and reflecting on his past. But what he learned was predictability, stability, and deep connection equals unsafe, possible rejection, and possible abandonment. So if you can imagine, if your whole life, your upbringing, was nested within things changing all the time, and years go on, you're trying to adapt and move forward, but this story hasn't been confronted. You haven't accessed this part of you to deal with and really see if it's true today. Then what will happen is any relationship you go into, if they're showing signs of predictability, stability, deep connection, internally, this past, which forms complexes, will scream at you. And it'll say to you, this is not going to work out well. We've seen what happens time and time again. They will leave, or they'll reject you, or all of a sudden they won't want you and they'll abandon you without any say. So why not just with control push it away from me versus have it leave and be disappointed again? And this is a human condition. This is not just you. All of us, everybody, would prefer predictable pain. At least it's within our grasp. I can control what happens versus daring to try and going for it and risk it not working out. Because all throughout the years, all that pain gets you so scarred and you haven't healed it, so it's an open wound. So any bit of touch tells you, I don't want to deal with it. And so we mask it. We mask it through either superior attitudes. We tell ourselves, oh, well, you know what? I'm much better than that person. I don't really need them in my life. It's fine. You'll find some flaw, something to point out about them. Or you will have a more inferior sense of self. And then you will now elevate that person and maybe assume they're now going behind your back, or maybe they're talking to other people and they don't really actually like you, or they're taking too long to respond to your texts. We will do absolutely anything than to confront that deeper reality. You are effectively inside an invisible wall, like a prison that you can't escape out of. It's what it feels like, some force field. But it is nothing but invisible. It is only there because we have repeatedly narrated and acted on this belief. And we have consistently pointed out evidence that it exists. And because we sabotage ourselves unconsciously, we will often ruin relationships. We will move away from career. We will quit a business venture. We are the ones who repeat it. But it is also you that can stop it. Of course, to do it alone, it is extremely difficult because you can't, it's hard to see it. You're in it. It's like the Truman Show. If you guys have seen the movie, you're inside of that dome, which is why you need to be guided towards it. First, confront the story. You have to interrogate yourself. But when you do it, you have to be blunt but compassionate. This is really important. Confrontation doesn't have to be violent all the time. There's a time and a place. But when you're doing inward reflection, you have to have what I call the hero's stance. It's in my free guide down below. Download it absolutely for free. And it talks about how to do self-investigation without causing yourself more harm, more shame, more frustration, and actually feel inspired about it, which is the most important thing. This needs to be inspiring to you because then you'll do it. It also does not have to be one or the other. We often will flick from one extreme to the next. If one moment we're always pushing everyone away, feeling afraid, then often answers you'll say is jump into the deep end and begin just accepting everyone all the time. No. Why is that though? Because what you acquire over time, what you learn over time, is habits that are going to save you. If you're always maybe perhaps cautious of individuals, you've picked up on some things. Maybe you know when someone's lying. Maybe you know when someone's trying to manipulate and try to get some favor out of you. You'll pick up on those things. Those are incredibly valuable. So you do not let them go. But you absolutely then can incorporate practicing opening that door, slowly letting people in, and giving yourself permission to experience stability, safety, relationships, deep connection. You have to exercise it. And believe me when I tell you, when you move out of that invisible wall, you'll feel that gravitational pull bringing you right back. It will 100% try to protect you because it's seen all this before. But it is your duty to resist it. You keep exercising your freedom. It quite literally is what it is. You're exercising freedom, little by little, week after week, month after month. However, like I said, if you do not have someone that's walked this path, like me, I've been a self-sabotager my whole life, and I had to take years and years of studying, shadow work, therapy to just understand how to exit it, because there was no specific way that I was shown on people who self-sabotage, people who self-inflict their pain. And so I had to make my own process that took me a long time, but I finally have it nailed down and continually getting better, where it's going to allow you to see the pattern, break it, experience freedom from the stories that have locked you up for so long. And I have to say one thing just to really give you a little bit of peace, because I know some of this is confrontational, but it's done for your good to make you the most of what you can be. What has happened in the past is not your fault. You needed to adapt to your environment. If you're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, what power do you really have? Your mother and your father are the leaders of your life. They are the gods in your life. They set the rules, the boundaries, the limitations, the discipline, the punishments. They're everything. You needed to adapt. That's what you had to do. But as time has gone on, we hold these stories. We hold the relationship that we once had with them and we carry it with us for years and years, no matter how far you move away. That's why you often feel you're still connected to it in a deeper manner. You can do it if you're willing to. If you have the fatigue, you're tired of it, you absolutely can change it. In fact, I dare you. Yeah, I dare you to do it, which is a childhood thing. I dare you to lick this post, but that stuff kind of works, so. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys next time.